I know what you're thinking. This has got to be the most unusual worship experience I've ever been a part of. We started in the church and then we jumped from house to house, hearing various readings and prayers and songs from young people in our parish. I'm speaking to you from my backyard in Doylestown. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon, and it's hard to believe that we're not going to be together yet again this Sunday, and not for a while. I just want to share a few thoughts I have about our gospel reading today. I'm not going to read it to you. You have it in front of you. You can find it on the church website. It's a very familiar story of the raising of Lazarus from the dead. You remember Lazarus. He was the brother of Mary and Martha, good friends of Jesus. And they sent for Jesus to come because Lazarus was ill. And they had hoped that by Jesus coming to him, that somehow they would be prevented from the horror of his sickness and his death. But Jesus did not get there in time. And in fact, Lazarus died and was buried. And so enters Jesus into the scene, and Martha and Mary just wondering, if he had been there in time, somehow their brother would have been saved. And Jesus invited them then to believe in the resurrection to a different kind of life. And he stood in front of that tomb, and he called forth to Lazarus to come forth, and he did. And he lived. We are living in a time now where we're faced with sickness, with death all around us. And I know we're asking the question that if God would simply come to us, that we could all be saved, that all this could go away like a bad dream. And yet God doesn't seem to come to us to answer those questions. But the promise is still there. The assurance is still there. The words that we are so familiar with, I am the resurrection and I am life. A lot of years ago, there was a book then turned into a movie called The Last Temptation of Christ. And there's a scene that takes place in that film where Lazarus, now having been raised from the dead, is sitting outside of his home. And people come to him as people are wont to do, and they ask him, Lazarus, what was it like on the other side? I mean, you died. What was it like? And Lazarus said to them, it's not that different. It's not that different. Those words have always stuck with me. I'm not always sure what it was that Kazantzakis had in mind when he wrote that text. But I do know that somehow those words are important. That whether we experience illness, whether we experience death, whether we experience life, it's all kind of the same. It's all kind of the same for us who are people of faith. We continue to do just what we need to do. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we can't be together in church. It doesn't matter that we can't hold hands. It doesn't matter that we can't pass the peace and kiss and hug each other. We miss those things for sure. But we're given an assurance in this story about life and death and life again, that it's just not that different. Whether we're together in the body, separate as we are from one another at this time, because we're all still part of this wonderful thing called the church, the body of Christ. And we have life even in the midst of death. So Jesus calls upon us just as assuredly as he called upon Lazarus that day. And he said, come forth out of this place of fear and death and live. I hope and pray that each one of us as members of the church, each one of us as people of faith, will learn to live our lives each and every day. Each day, this is the day that we have been given. This is the day that we can make a difference. This is the day that we can turn fear and suffering and death into life and into hope. God bless you all, and I hope we are reunited in the body very soon.